All right, well, I'm going to give you my take on the new NBC show Revolution. It goes on the premise that all the electricity goes out. Cars, planes, trains, computers, TVs, all that. And basically what life would be without all this. And it starts out, guys coming into the house, all worked up, and he says, it's happening, something like that. And then he starts downloading something and tells her to get the water. Apparently he knows what's going on, and on the pilot, try not to go into too much detail, but you might want to not listen to this till after you've seen at least the first episode. Now, after they jump into 15 years, and they show a little bit of the destruction, but in my opinion, they don't show enough of the destruction and hardship that people would do. But I don't know if it's really necessary. I would have, because the things that people will go through if something like that happens. They're talking about, or people suggest that 70-80% of the world population would probably die. Just wouldn't be enough food. You couldn't transport stuff fast enough. Just starve to death after a while. Technology, we can't raise that kind of food without technology. No tractors, no plows, back to hand tools to do it with. Now, when I said 15 years, they jump into 15 years after the fact, and they show what the world's like, using hand tools. One of the first things I noticed was, what is NBC up to? I don't really like NBC and most of the big ones. They're just too liberal for me. And they have an agenda. I think part of their agenda is making militias look bad. Which, of course, if it wasn't for militias, we wouldn't be free. We wouldn't have ever got our independence from England. And if things really do go bad, depending on the circumstances, it might take militias to keep order. Now, I also can see that militias could go crazy if you're not careful, and that's plausible. I've heard people, there was a guy on one of the YouTube videos. I'm not going to mention his name, just say he's got a red shirt. And he goes, acting like it's ridiculous that the government would fall apart, because in the show they do that. It's militias basically ruling things, and the government fell apart, and there's no military. Washington, D.C. is in shambles, and he's acting like, none of that's possible. Well, it's all possible. As far as my concern is, the power is from the states, and if the states aren't there, because a lot of the states would fall apart, our union would probably fall apart, especially if the government fell apart, and you would have local government, and the states might divide up into smaller sections as well. Now, I'm not saying any of this stuff's going to happen, but it's fun for the show. So that's what we're talking about. We're just having some fun here. DC would fall apart as far as I'm concerned, because if there's no power for them anymore, they're not going to stay there. With that many people gone, if the estimates are 70-80%, there's not going to be any reason to be in one of those big cities. Military would fall apart. People would probably want to go home and try to take care of their families. The government couldn't pay them, couldn't support them. There wouldn't be any support coming from the states. They'd all be looking to take care of themselves. Now, after who knows how much time, there might be a new government and things might form back up. But as far as a viable military, viable government, I think it'd be a while. Even past what they're showing on the 15 years. There just wouldn't be enough people to support it anymore. So I think he's coming from the liberal side, the way he's talking about different things. That's him, that's all right. That's one of the reasons I decided to do this video, to give an opposite point of view. Now, I like the show. Even though I don't like NBC, I like the show. The pilot was good. Les had a good point. There's some good action in the show, of course. There's some things I don't see in it, but maybe we'll talk about that another time. One of the guys and I were talking about the girl, when her father dies, didn't show enough emotion. But I think that's part of her character. I think they'll develop that. I think she's kind of emotionally distressed from all the stuff that's happened, losing their mom and all the hardships they've gone through just to get to the 15-year mark. One of the guys even said, I didn't see any bicycles. I didn't either. You would think that would be something that a lot of people would be using. Of course, how many years is the rubber going to last? So maybe they don't have any bicycles because there's not enough rubber anymore. But we'll see. Maybe they'll have it in the show some. And I can see things falling apart that way. Also, just for some fun, in the show, the guns are illegal. That's a hanging offense. But they show what happens at the same time. What happens if you don't have guns to protect yourself? Larger group can come that doesn't care about the law and take over, do just about anything they want, which you'll see in the show. I liked it. I'm waiting for Monday for the first episode. Hopefully other people will like it, because I'd like to see it go for a while and see what happens. I do believe people will like it. Some people will try to pick it apart and find all the faults with it, and there'll be people with a left-wing attitude about it and cut it down by that, and right-wing, just sit back and enjoy the show. It's a good show from what I've seen so far, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't want to say too much about it. We'll get started here. I'll probably be back and do another one after next episode or two. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think about it. I'd like to hear from you. So that's it. See you later.